Hi, everybody, and welcome. Today's video is going to be a little special, a little bit different. And it's really, to mask or not to mask. So we've all gone through a lot of changes and in the recent past, and it's brought up a lot of questions. And during the pandemic, a dear friend of mine and I decided to give back in the form of creating something called Conscious Community Cafe. So to create this virtual cafe where people could be physically distanced but socially connected. And so we led several of these, 10 of these over several months. And they were really interesting topics, like how do you know who to trust, and how do you handle anxiety, and what makes you anxious? And we just brought together a lot of people so that they could have honest conversations with people who had differing beliefs. And then we helped them in that process learn to stay connected and learn from one another. Normally, we don't share those experiences, although everyone knew we were recording everything, and we might share if there was something really profound we thought could help a wider audience. And this is one of those moments. Really, it was about, I had just finished teaching anxiety, the 5 steps to healing anxiety. And, really quickly, what it is, you have to get present in your body, get really grounded right here, right now. Then you have to name. The second step is naming your fears. The third step is, once you've named them, right, expanding your perspective around them. So anxiety is a failed attempt to control the future. And so the whole idea here is, if it's a failed attempt to control the future, then if you get in the present, you might not feel so panicked, right, in this endless loop of the future. So get present in your body, name those fears, bring those in the present, expand your perspective. That was the third one. The fourth one is to, create a short phrase that when you realize that your mind is on repeat again and again, you can just say this phrase and kind of interrupt it and bring you back to the goals and affirmations that you want around whatever you're afraid of. And the last one is asking yourself the question, what would self-trust and courage do now? And the reason for that is anxiety is actually a lack of trust. At its base, it is that you don't trust that you're going to be able to handle what comes next. So you worry and you worry and you worry, and it keeps you up at night, and then you don't feel well the next day. And it has a whole cycle of experiences. So what we did in this Conscious Community Cafe was we explored anxiety. And right as we were about to close, one of the people in the group asked a question and said that, what came up for me is this whole masking thing. I don't know about this thing, and I don't want to do this. And so what follows is me after hours, once I closed the cafe with the people who wanted to stay, helping her talk through it, think through that fear, and helping her transform that fear. And so this is, and then what's even more beautiful is after I had to leave, Elise, who's my co-host on Conscious Community Cafe, she stayed on, and she was getting everyone's reactions and experiences, etc. And you'll even see how it changed the people who heard this brave soul, heard her speak and share what mattered to her. I believe that the future of our world and healing our world is about having these healing conversations. And I really am excited for you to get a chance to get a sneak peek at the Conscious Community Cafe. And hopefully this will help you and those you love and lead in your life that may be having a hard time with masking and all the restrictions that are in place to help us as a society stay safe and heal through this. I hope you enjoy it.
And then a question came up that we were in our little conversation. So, the fear, and we were just curious to see what you would say about this. So my fear is that we as a society, now I know this isn't 100% true. It's just a way to say this for you, is we're all accepting the masks and the social distancing and the physical distancing and all those, and we're calling it the new normal. So my fear is that we really are going to make this our normal, and this cannot be our normal. So where do you find peace in that? Because, you know, back in 1918, 1919, okay, we had the same conversations. We're 100 years later and we're no better than that. Is this, are we going to get lost in that? And that is my biggest fear. So that's where, like, how do you find peace within that? Is, I guess, I don't know where to go with that. Like, what is the phrase? I don't know. So my partners and I talked about that, and we were curious to see what you would say about that.
What I would say to you is it depends. It depends on how, I'm going to answer this first and then I'll work with you on your anxiety piece of this. Okay. It depends. From a biological perspective, what we've been doing is we've been giving every different state choice. Okay. Every different mayor, every governor, whatever it is, we're giving everybody choice. So what happens there is when you have a respiratory-borne illness, we all breathe the same air. So we are connected in this no matter what, right? So the idea then is if you do it all together, you have a chance of bringing this all down. When you do it at different times, there are differing curves that are actually going to peak at different times, depending on the movement, et cetera, of humans. If we decide that we cannot do this together, we've just decided that if it takes 8 or 12 weeks of us all doing this at the same time, where we wear masks, we social, you know, I don't like calling it social distancing. I call it physical distancing with deep and profound social connection. That's what I hope for. So I don't like the word social distancing. But anyway, if we decide that we are going to physically separate while maintaining deep social connection, and we are going to follow the rules of biology, which is, you know, use a mask, protect yourself, don't spread this. We'd be done with this in a couple months. If we don't choose that all together in concerted effort, what you do in biology is okay, it's like this. HIV, there's ways that it's transmitted. Through sexual contact, through bodily blood, there's certain ways it's transmitted. The way that you stop it from being transmitted is stopping those transmission pathways. That's just a straight biology, okay? So what people believe or don't believe, I think probably at the base of this, the hardest thing that's been going on is people not knowing what the truth is, right? So I've spent 25 years of my life studying this, right? I've seen it. How do I, as a doctor, go in the hospital, all gowned up every day, all day, see 20 of the sickest hospitalized patients and not get sick myself? Because I masked up and I gowned up. That's how I did it. I washed my hands. That's how I did it. I have my own personal knowledge of science and I have my own personal experience to believe what it is that I believe, right? So for 25 years, I know how I've done this. I've treated the sickest of patients and with communicable illnesses and not allowed myself to get them. Now, I think what we're going through is something much bigger than a physical experience. I think the physical experience is what's getting our attention, but this is actually a much deeper experience that we're going through. Who do you trust? What do you think is truth? What do you think matters? And what are we willing to do for what period of time? Are we willing to do it collectively? Are we going to do it separately? There's no right or wrong. I'm going to say it again, like, it just depends on what lesson we want to learn and how long we want it to take. Is it possible that if we all do it separately and in our own way, that the air is going to continue to get infected and we could get reinfected and the virus could mutate? Possible. I don't know the answer to all of this, but my guess is yes, that's what viruses do. Is there a chance that if we all act concertedly together, that we could really bring this down to someplace manageable or, you know, get rid of it? Yeah, there is a possibility we can do that. Now, there's other possibilities. If an effective vaccine comes out, there's a possibility there. but it might be like the flu. Every year it's different. It mutates. We don't know. Could we come up with medication? Possibly, right? There's different stages of coronavirus. There's the first phase, and then there's the second phase. In the first phase, the virus takes over your cells and uses your cell's machinery to start replicating itself. In that phase, you can use an antiretroviral to stop it. Now, the problem with that phase is you don't know you have it yet. So, slight problem, right? By the time you're getting symptoms, now you've activated your whole immune response, lung tissues being damaged, also, and much more than lung gets damaged. Clots get formed, all these other organs. There's so much we don't know yet about coronavirus, but it affects many different organs. Don't think that children don't breathe, because they do. It's not like kids don't do what we do because, it's different. One thing that's really interesting, though, there's universal principles of how this is spread, and then there's unique biology that if all of us happen to get coronavirus that are on this panel right now, the craziest thing about it is it interacts with our biology a little differently, each one of us. So for some people, they go all the way down the ventilator path. For some people, they have mild symptoms and they're okay. We don't know why yet. We don't know why people are reacting differently. So when you go down this place, I want to work with you on your fear. Okay, so I'm going to give you the biology in the background and my personal experience. You guys get to decide if that resonates or doesn't resonate with you, or you have a different experience. But let's talk specifically in this to anxiety, because Kathy, your anxiety is real. It is unique to you. So tell me what you did. When we did ground yourself in your body, were you able to do that? Yeah? It felt like you could bring yourself, okay, great. Unmute yourself for me too if you're muted.
Sure, yes.
Because I want to make sure we can do this.
Okay.
The second one is name that fear. So tell me what you wrote. What'd you write?
So I wrote down that this will never end. And I need to expand. I don't mean just about this, the masks, for instance, in this case. So, okay, we wear masks. Oh, guess what? It solved the problem. Maybe we should now, for the rest of our life, just like we wear underpants and bras, wear a mask every day of our life. So while the fear is, while my frustration does exist within the coronavirus, I mean, it's brilliant. The masks are the panacea of salvation. We'll wear them for the rest of our lives. So yes, it exists in this immediate circumstance.
Got it.
But we're selling them on the internet. You can find them everywhere. This is the great new tool of the world. So that's the fear. It's not this. Okay, we can, yeah, you're right. If we all get on board, we're done with the 2 months, it's over with. But if it saves us from corona, won't it save us for all the things that could possibly come along? And maybe now we should wear it just like we do underwear. So that may be exaggerating, but that is, that is it.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so why are we choosing? So let's just go down the tool. We'll go down the tool first, and then I'll deal with that. So the fear is, what if masks, which are the thing that can save us from this respiratory-borne illness that is transmitted in the air, what if masks are the things that can save us, right? And my fear is, what if we think then that that's a normal, like that normalizes in society? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Now, underneath it, okay, because you're saying in the future, someday, what if that normalizes? So go underneath it and expand your perspective. Right here, right now, what do you know about why we need masks? What do you know about why specifically someone's saying that we need masks?
So
right here, right now.
Okay, so it helps.
Why is it relevant?
Okay, so right now, right here, that it helps to restrict the airborne exposure to the virus.
Yeah, the spread, right? So right here, right now, what we know is something that costs $1 or maybe less, right, is a barrier that we can use to stop something that's killing a lot of people. Now, I want you to expand your perspective. When you worry about that in the future, I want you to say what is right now for you. You are what? Do you wear a mask or do you not wear a mask?
When I'm not feeling bitchy, I wear a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm not feeling bitchy, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
thank you for that honesty, right?
Mhm.
Thank you for being really honest about that. So in that experience, right, it becomes not about masks. It becomes about freedom. It becomes about choice. It becomes about something very different than masks. Yes? Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So what I want you to know is, right, there's health, there's safety, there's freedom, there's choice. Okay? What you want is a guarantee that if you do this now for the reasons of biology that you know, that you have the freedom and the choice in the future not to do it. Is that true?
I had not thought of it in that perspective, but I suppose that could be true. Yes.
Yeah, because this isn't about masks. This is about choice and about freedom. And so in your expand your perspective, when you say I am, right? When you feel this going in your head, right? I am. What words, what do you want to experience and feel, right? Elise is on the road, she's on the digital roadmap right now, okay? I am whole, healthy, and well, even though I have a fear that I might get sick, okay? Now, what are you going to be that's going to allow you to have peace, be able to take care of yourself and other people right now, and know that you're going to be okay in the future? What would you say to yourself?
Well, based on some of what you just shared, I guess it could be, I can choose to wear a mask.
Yeah, I choose to do this for as long as I understand the benefit and I see that it will help, right? So it's like I am free and able to choose. Something like that,
Yeah, that could
right?
work. Mm-hmm.
So when you see that fear start coming in, you're like, I'm not wearing this damn mask. Oh God, I am free and able to choose. Right now I choose to wear it, and there may be a time that I choose not to, right? Because I think when any human feels trapped, it's like, it's almost like a caged animal. Like it feels like, oh my, there's like no way out, right? And that's going to lead you to doing things that are not in your interest right now and may cause problems later, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so let me give you one other quick thing that I was not planning on doing, but I'm going to do it quickly. It's a tool that I think is going to help you real quick. Here we go. It's called Choice Point. I'm going to give you the fastest version of this I've ever done, okay? And it goes like this. Every day, every single one of us is at choice. Do I get out of bed or do I not? Do I brush my teeth or do I not? Do I take a shower or do I not? That's simple. We are constantly making choices. What's really important for us to learn right now in this world that everybody thinks is black and white is that there's timing changes that alter things. So it goes like this. Am I taking the short-term high, which means I avoid any discomfort right now, but I don't care if it ends up spreading this farther, okay? This is me, okay? Or am I saying to myself, it's okay, I'll take some short-term discomfort to grow myself and ultimately create the world without masks. We've got to make a choice. Like, this isn't easy for anyone. I really can't stand not breathing fresh air. Part of the reason I'm outside right now, and you can hear the lawnmowers and things, is because every chance I get, I want to be in a space where I can breathe the regular air, right? But I also know that me doing that, right, in a room of people close by is going to prolong this dilemma for me. And I don't want it prolonged. So I'm willing to do what I need to do. For each person, this looks different. What I'll tell you is a really great way in the me, we world that I shared with you earlier is when you make decisions, make integrated decisions. Think about me, think about we, think about world. So if you wrote no mask, me, or mask, me, right now, okay? We, that looks like I'd protect myself and protect others. And in the world, right now, it may not change anything, okay? Short term, okay? Maybe I'm wearing a mask in the short term and I can protect that. Maybe I start to see certain things go down, right? Let's say New York City, let's say whatever the numbers are of people that have started to do this. We start to see short-term decline in numbers. Then you go to long-term. Me, no mask. We, no mask. Only people who choose to wear one. And world, no coronavirus in the long term. So it's almost like people make decisions and choices on two things. Single vision, so just me, just we, or just world, or without seeing the timeline of now, short-term, long-term. And so what I'm hoping to do is have us expand our vision so that we can serve everybody, right? But you're exactly right. If I thought that it wouldn't change anything in the end, I'd be pretty hard-pressed to keep doing it, right? My hope is, so the question then becomes, how do we do it now so that we start to see results in the short term, and in the long term, we have our freedom and our choice? Because that I agree with 100%. I don't want to do this just to keep doing it. Nor is it what I believe, nor is it what I'm going to do, right? So I want to tell you how much I respect your question, how much I resonate with it, and how much I think if we come together, maybe one of the life lessons, world lessons we're learning is how interconnected we are, and how much we need each other, and how much our independent actions affect each other. And so maybe this is an opportunity for all of us to elevate in consciousness and connection and communication. So I'm going to let you give any thoughts, any reaction to this. Was that helpful? Not?
It is. The thing that makes it a struggle, you're 100% right, period. The struggle comes from the communities that are making this a mandate, making this a law, because it does take away your choice. I can get on board, but it's not a choice in some circumstances, and it's frustrating. But it's not just, it is, everything you said is right. So that's just, yeah, but the phrase works. The phrase works, though.
So what the idea here of people mandating things, okay, to me, it depends on what arena we're in, okay? So in the hospital, we were mandated. We could not walk into an operating room without gloves, gown, mask. We literally are violating an OSHA regulation, right? Like you get fined, you get thrown out, you lose your life. Like you can't do it, okay? Why is that? There's an unconscious patient on the table who could get infected and die if our bugs come into them. True? So public health is a different game. It's a different level of, there are people who don't want to do it. But what a hospital says to you is, if you don't want to do it, go practice somewhere else. You can't do it here. You can't do it in this country. Because what we know is that's where line infections come. That's how people die, like, right? So to me, let me just tell you why. What I'm hearing from you is that choice and freedom are some of your highest values, okay? What do we do when we are in community and it becomes a public health issue? So it's not that your choices affect you and whether you live or don't. It's in fact that somebody's choices are affecting whether the community gets infected. So now that to me is different. It's public health. Now you've moved out of this is about my freedom and my choice. You've now moved to us as a collective, that we and the world piece. And that's where leaders have to make difficult choices, sometimes that people don't like, right? What I tell you as a doctor, I do have rules around who I allow to come to my house and what the rules are. I always tell them, hey, I'd really love to see you. I'm going to keep social distancing. I'd meet you on the back patio. I may or may not be wearing a mask depending on what it is, what the situation is. But my whole thing is, like, we have to be clear about for what amount of time, right? And when we don't know, if there's trust between people that I'm leading and me, I can say things like this to them. I'd really like us all to wear masks, because if we do, we can be through this, not only for our health, but to restart our economy, to keep education going, all these things. My bet is that it's going to take 2 to 3 months for this to happen. And if you trust me, I can say this. I am going to let you know if anything changes, if I get different information, and then together, let's assess if we've made progress in 2 months and talk about this again, right? That's what I do with every single patient and their disease. I can't say you're going to be cured from cancer. I can't even say you're going to make it out of this heart attack. But if you trust me, you will allow me to take the next step in your care, and then you and I come back together again. You will take the next step in it, like, I need to do this procedure. I need to do this thing. Here's the risks. Here's the benefits. I don't know, but if you and I have trust, we can then again get to the, you see what I'm saying? So health and public health is a very different issue than just straight up choice and freedom. And you get to make all those decisions if you're a patient in my office and it's between me and you, 100%. And in fact, if you say to me, I say, this is the best chemo, this is the best radiation, and you say to me, Kathy, I'm not interested in any of it. I don't want it to happen. You know what I say to you? Trust yourself. I'm going to give you all the options. I'm going to give you all my expertise, but this decision is yours. And my job then becomes to walk beside you to whatever path that takes you with the same amount of energy, love, care, and compassion. That's my job as the doctor. Public health is a different game. It moves to a different level where we have to make collective choice. And that's hard. And what I would just say is that this is a really good week, a really good time to think about what you value: health, money, education, choice, freedom, self-trust, trusting others, community, connection, communication. What are your highest values? But not just what are your highest values. In what order do they go? Do we choose health over money? Do we choose education over health? Do we choose freedom over health? Like, where are we? And this is what I'm saying about when the world is this chaotic, it's our opportunity to get clear in here, to have discussions that are difficult to bring up, to disagree and sit in that discomfort. That's our global timeout right now. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thank you for your bravery. Thank you for showing up and being willing to go live with me on this. Taking a nice deep breath in and just noticing if you feel more energy or less energy by having dedicated these 2 hours to yourself, to authentic connection online, to taking a risk, to doing something different than you've been doing before. And if so, is there anybody else that you think you would want to invite to this discussion to join us that you think would be a good fit as well? And if that's true, feel free to bring a friend. We're at a cafe, a virtual cafe. We're all making it up. We're on the digital roadmap that Elise is talking about. We're creating our new world. How do you want this new world to be? Please come and co-create it with us.
I realized that I've gotten used to, hiding out and sort of kind of playing small and not talking and not showing myself a lot. Over the last 10 years, I had a pretty major divorce and then moved back to India. And let's turn this off. I realized that it's being isolated has kind of been a second nature to me for well over a decade. So last year was my year of kind of getting back into the world, and I moved back to the Bay Area I'm an older parent with my small child, and everything sort of thrown, right, because of Corona. So it took us a good 6 months to settle in, and then all my sort of efforts to step up and figure myself out financially and socially, and it's been, anyway, I realized that I was using these survival skills that I had learned through many years of isolation, and just kind of went back down into it. I wanted to share something. So I could have gone without sharing, and I tried to share in the chat, and I just want to share this because I think it's important. I think that our society's become so split, and the politics, are you a Republican or a Democrat, or are you, who's your governor and what's the mandate and all this kind of stuff. And I really was very touched by Kathy's share, and I wanted to share that I usually have a knee-jerk reaction when I see somebody without a mask, especially I have a small child and, we're somewhere, or, and I'm like, wow, they don't care. They're not wearing a mask. And, but I just had a profound understanding from her share that I don't have to view those people as those mean people and posit this whole view on them that has to do with my sort of polarized view of what's happening, and I can understand that they're having a personal struggle or a personal feeling about they just don't want to wear the damn mask,
right?
And It's kind of like when I ask my daughter, who's 9, she doesn't want to wear a mask, and she does. She goes out with me and she does wear it. And, when we go on a trail or we go wherever, we mask up when we're passing someone or whatever, and she makes the effort, but I know that in her gut, it's such a stretch, So, and she's so small, So just it just gave me that expanse to see people as people. I was filling gas in my car, and I had my gloves and I had a mask, and there was this man behind me, a white man in a big truck, and he had to wait for me to finish, because I had all these steps, and I took my gloves off, and I threw my gloves, and, he had no mask and no gloves, nothing. And I immediately thought that this man hates me, and he's, probably, a Republican and a Trumper, and he's pissed off, and, because he was kind of just staring at me. And I don't have to live with that polarized view. He can just be a person who's just going to do his day and just cannot put the damn mask on, and I can just have some compassion. And I kept talking to myself because I left the gas station. I was like, no, why am I making all this up? He just needs to get on with his day. And I'm, so I can just have some compassion for people. And for me, that there's such a cleft, there's such a division in our society, and it's just softens me a little bit to have this conversation.
Oh my gosh, Nidya, this is so beautiful. I have to acknowledge this really quick. I don't know if the Zoom meeting is going to quit in 2 minutes. If it does, I did not hang up on you, okay? So important. I want to acknowledge what you just did so beautifully. You just showed us one of the big reasons that we came together was to help elevate consciousness, to expand consciousness, heart, connection, and you just did it beautifully for us. And I really, really appreciate your share and what you just got from that. And it's grace, Nidya. It's grace, and it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That was so helpful for me to hear that.
Mm-hmm. And
to do the same things. I see one thing and
right, absolutely.
I make a whole list of judgments beyond that, and it just seems so simple, Needy. But I mean, when you said it, it's like I don't have to do that. I see it, I recognize it for what it is, and I move on, and I don't keep making that string of judgments.
And that's called learning. It's learning and growth. Oh my gosh, it's at its finest. It's so beautiful. And the other thing I want to acknowledge what you did too, Niti, is I'm telling you, divorce is not a fun thing. I went through it 4 years ago. It is painful. It's excruciating. You have to reinvent. In my case, I I do not believe I'd be living my purpose if I was still married. Not because my ex-husband said I couldn't or prevented it. I just put myself in my own little tidy box and didn't do that. But I also really recognize that there is a real need sometimes, a call to just scamper back and shut ourselves away from the world as we deal with things. And I really appreciate that you came out from and back into the light, if you will, and joined us for the conversation and contributed so beautifully as you have. We would have lost that connection, that point, had you not come out. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everybody.